Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid. I am Tony Nice. Glad to have you here. It's a good-looking Thursday out there. Hope all is well. All right. We are getting set for more ships into the Federation, and we are doing what we can to see how we can bring this all back to some semblance of normalcy. It's a tough endeavor, but I guess sooner or later we'll get it right. This morning I want to take a look at by the way, we're standing by for some new standing rules and orders coming out with respect to the COVID restrictions. Expect them sometime within the next hour or two. All right. This morning we want to have a discussion about COVID. Our discussion on COVID, though, will be about the lessons that we should have learned or could still learn from COVID. COVID, like most other disasters, not necessarily all bad in the sense that there are things you can learn from any situation, bad or good. And we'll talk about COVID-19 and some of the lessons that we have learned or should learn from the pandemic. COVID-19 has caused millions of confirmed cases, claimed millions of lives throughout the world. It has even brought prosperous nations and well-run healthcare systems to their knees. Few countries have been spared, right, in this whole thing. Can't really think of any really that has really been spared. Even if you look at the economically powerful United States, the tension between maintaining social freedom, free society, and engaging in efforts of collective defense against the virus has led to the politicization of the whole thing. Whether you're talking about wearing masks or social distancing, or you're talking about vaccine refusals, whatever, it's all there. In our tiny nation, St. Kitts and Nevis, we have been somewhat fortunate that the leadership here remained steady and worked with the health professionals, putting in place the effective mitigating measures in a timely manner, and that allowed us to, in a way, come through this pandemic, I would say, relatively untouched when you compare with what has been happening. We have had a number of cases. We have had a number of deaths. I think the number at this point is at 21. And I would say one death is too many. However, when you compare that with the rest of the world, we are in somewhat fortunate position overall. Obviously not for the families that have lost a loved one, and we're always sad about that. But the overall picture for the nation, when compared, is somewhat not great, but we're surviving. It is not over yet, but we must admit that we have done well considering our size and the limited resources that we have. Like I said, we had 21 deaths to date, which is sad, and let's hope that it stays down. But after all of this, we must not ignore the lessons learned so as to prepare us for the next crisis, which is inevitable because we live in a world where there will be more of these crises, whatever they may be. What we've learned over the last, say, 18 months could pay off for years to come. For the past year and a half, our country and indeed the world has been mired in what has been a double crisis. We had the pandemic, or we still have the pandemic, as well as an economic meltdown. And dealing with all of this demands a lot from us as citizens and a lot from our government. And dealing with all of this has been what has dominated much of our energy, our attention, and for many of us, even our emotions. But there is hope. With the world now being vaccinated, continue to be vaccinated, we are beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel. Even though there are still some hot spots around the world, we are by and large moving past the worst, which makes it a good time to assess, to reflect, and to assess the changes that have occurred. We have much to learn from our experience with the pandemic, and I would even say there may be much to gain. Let's talk about some of the lessons here. Lesson 1. We learn, or should have learned, that family matters. And family matters more than we may have realized. We have seen the images of older persons living alone and having to struggle. And we need to change that. You're going to see more older people home sharing within families, co-housing across communities to avoid future situation of tragedy. There's been a whole lot of Zooming. Zoom has become a big thing. Some say now that the family that Zooms together stays together. Images of children and grandkids greeting from outside windows or some sort of barrier because they can't come in contact with each other. Family matters. Togetherness matters. Lesson 2. We have unleashed a revolution in medicine. One of the biggest lessons we have learned from COVID is that the scientific community working together can do some pretty amazing things. In the past, it has taken us some 20 years to create conventional vaccines. For new vaccines that has come out, it was in some cases a record-setting 11 months to do it. Now, that is because the process, yes, have changed forever. Corona itself is not new. This particular virus, there's a reason why we referred to it early on as the novel coronavirus. This makes it new, meaning the new one. But corona itself has been around for some time. And scientists have been working on vaccines for quite some time. Even though it looks as though we got a quick vaccine once this COVID-19 was identified in 2019, hence the 19th, December, in Wuhan. But scientists have been at work trying to come up with vaccines for quite some time. There's been lots of resources expended on this, financial and otherwise, that went into the development, and this had an all-hands-on-deck approach like we have never seen. And hence, once the virus hit in 2019, we were able to quickly put all that together and come up with a vaccine. It's not that the vaccine and the process was only 11 months, but the work has been ongoing for quite some time on corona. And so when this happened, it was a matter of pulling all of that together, and all hands on deck, and a lot of people put a lot of money into it. And so here we are, and the vaccine has been shown to be effective. And lesson 3, technology is now a good friend, and I don't see us going back. Arguably, the biggest long-term societal effect of the pandemic will be a big switch, making the digital solution the first choice for many, for handling a number of life's tasks. We still may cling to a few traditional experiences, but the way to use modern virtual tools will be the new default. We have been forced to learn new technologies that in many cases have been the only safe way to continue to live our lives and stay connected to our loved ones during the pandemic. Lesson 4. Work is now everywhere. That's a shift that bodes well for older Americans. And one of the major impacts of the new working from home focus is that more jobs are becoming non-location specific. Necessity, they say, is the mother of reinvention. And forced to work remotely since the onset of the pandemic, millions of workers and their managers have learned they could be just as productive as they were at the office, thanks to the video conferencing, the high-speed internet, and other technologies. It's a good thing. Lesson 5. The crowds, they will be back, but I guarantee you we will gather in a more careful way. Masks, sanitizers may be a part of the norm for years to come. Much in the same way as airport and transportation security measures are still in place since 9/11 and not going anywhere. So think of a lot of the things we do now as being around for a long time. Lesson 6. We can hope for stability, but best be prepared for the opposite. COVID-19, perhaps more than any other disaster, demonstrated that we need to continue ensuring response plans are flexible and scalable. You can't predict exactly what a disaster will bring, but if you know what tools you have in your toolkit, you're able to pull out the right one you need when you need it. And finally, let's talk about food security. Let's talk about the availability and sufficient quantities of appropriate, necessary types of food from domestic production, from commercial imports or donors. They should be consistently available to individuals and within reach. And that's what we mean when we talk about food security. We're in a disaster, in a crisis, in a pandemic. How do we make sure that we can sustain ourselves when everything else around us is in lockdown? Bring back into focus agriculture policy, farming, local production. Now comes right back into focus as something we should have learned from the pandemic. And to the extent that we have learned all these things, it all bodes well for us if we take those lessons and act on them. Because just around the corner, even as we pull out of this particular disaster, pull out of this pandemic, or even if not pull out, maybe a wrong term, but as we learn to live with it and move on past it, just around the corner may be the next disaster, where all of these lessons learned are going to come in handy if we put them into practice. That's my thought. 465-2555 is the local number. 718-577-2916 is the North American number. If that's more convenient for you, give us a call. Let's discuss COVID and COVID-19 in a different way this morning. Let's discuss it in terms of the lessons we've learned and could learn from it, and what we should do differently as we prepare for the inevitable next disaster. We got a caller. Let's go to that caller. Say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen and Zing, and in the spirit of Marcus of the words of St. Kitts Nevis. Blessed am I, beloved African, but how are you, the family?
All doing well. You?
I'm good, man, and the clan is good, beloved.
All right.
Now, brother, let me say, you see, I am not saying that our people, St. Kitts Nevis, I said the Caribbean and the Pan-African world wouldn't be thing by this COVID-19. But brother, and I always say, man, first and foremost, we must be able to feed ourselves as African people. Food security, as you mentioned, that must be first and foremost, because I and many others there in St. Kitts Nevis, culture, Mr. Politics, Africa, down the line, been saying this for years, brother. More than a decade. They've been saying this. More than a decade, beloved brother. And nobody heed the cavalry 1995 to 2015 they need. This administration also, they have it like, there ain't nothing, man. They could get all kind of garbage from North America and Europe and feed all people and all kind of nonsense. When I ask my beloved brother, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts Nevis, on two occasions I suggested to the agricultural budget allocation, sorry about that. At least $75 he chuckled. I tell Brother Hamilton, so same reaction when he was the Minister of Agriculture. Beloved, let me see what's going to happen in this budget, the 2021-22 budget. What amount going to be allocated for agriculture? And brother, we must develop our own vaccine as African people. You got Cuba there, you got Jamaica. Why not do that? Plant-based, beloved. Plant-based, we must develop that. Stop depending on tourism, wholly and solely. Beloved, can't go continue like that. Beloved, can't do that, man. Nothing wrong with tourism, but the earth is not served through tourism. I have a problem with that. Real tourism, but we just can't depend on tourism. No, must develop agro-processing. But I know everybody don't hear what you say. Like a stopping card. But we must do this. And you know, but all that money that we're giving in tax, you know, concessions and all these things to hundreds of millions of dollars, that must be cut out, man. Stop that too. I'm not saying don't give concessions, but concession must be given to financially poor African people, others too. But cut all of this thing when you give those multi-million-dollar corporation companies what save a hotel, supermarkets, and them. All of that must be cut out, beloved brother. And we must, beloved, we must always look out for each other, especially the elders, our children, have places for them. Other soccer card in home down there, man, that you got to up that, man. We got to build a modern facility for our elders, especially they don't have anyone to take care of them. It's a shame and a disgrace how we treat our elders, man, who have contributed immensely to the development of St. Kitts Nevis, beloved. So my beloved brother, we must get things right, man. We must get things right. And these people elected, they must put some fire under their feet, a verbal fire, and make them do the right thing because they're not their own bosses. It's the people who voted for them, but put them there. How come somebody come to you today to beg for your vote and then 2 days, a day or 2 days they become, no man, they got to done it the whole time. Backwardness and foolishness. So my beloved brother, COVID has taught us a lot of things, beloved, and we must, I'm going to say this and finish, brother, we must demand reparation from the Chinese and the U.S. government, because I don't know, beloved, whether it was accidental or intentional, but what I know, it didn't come from nature. Brother, thanks again for hearing me. Keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism and peace. One love, my beloved brother.
All right, one love. Go back to the phone. Good morning. Welcome to Family Candid.
Good morning, Brother Tony.
Good morning.
Brother, remember the program short. Remember the program short. You got to limit your time sometimes. No, Brother Tony. No, COVID is here. And COVID is serious. And COVID is dangerous. COVID is all kind of thing. COVID has had so much people in the Federation struggling and worldwide because can't get no work, because business could not open how they want, and everything. Now they create a vaccine that could strengthen your immune system, that instead it will be the COVID. You wouldn't got no problem with it to stifle you and kill you. But there's many out there spreading the fake news and the false rumor about the vaccine, saying all kind of negative things. Even people with business You understand? Saying how they want to take the vaccine. And the leaders, they may take the vaccine, they take the vaccine. When they take something else, they take the vaccine, the ordinary people like me and others take. And that so far from the truth, because I want to know if these men don't come and run in the country, the Prime Minister and President or whatever of the country, and they come and tell me a big lie, a big lie. So he take the vaccine and encouraging people to take the vaccine and he ain't take it. You understand? So when I listen to some people talk, I know that is real total ignorance and trying to mislead people. Some people don't want to take the vaccine because they're supporting the government. Some people saying that when they go overseas because they got the American rights, they're going to take the vaccine here. Because they don't trust the CMO, they don't trust the Prime Minister, and when they go out the country, they're going to take the vaccine. How can they go to here? And the same vaccine they take it, when they go to, they're going to take. The AstraZeneca, the Pfizer, or whatever, is the same vaccine. The vaccine is not in the same thing. So I just call on the good citizens of this country to do right, because I listened to the briefing yesterday and I hear some good news from Dr. William Smith. Even John Terry said that they don't know the thing when I thought that ordinary people could get jobs. You understand? And talk about carnival to entertainment and all those things. So some good news is coming. They get in and they will check. So let the country that people could work and people could, people go back to the normalcy. You will not move one thing. COVID ain't going nowhere. But I ain't going to take the vaccine. The COVID ain't going nowhere.
All right.
But she ain't going to take the vaccine. That's what I tell you.
Short program.
Yeah.
Okay. Our discussion is about lessons learned, not really about who is taking it.
I'm coming on now.
So, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Nayas.
Good morning, sir.
Now, in your opening statement, and you were talking about the COVID and different things like that. Mm-hmm. You asked what people learn from it. Mm-hmm. Who is to learn from it is who already lost the work. Because they will follow in a leader like there is in a cult and they bother with the leader and not take the vaccine. And they lose the work in business places and all over the place. And now they're out of work. And now the same leader gone and take the vaccine and said the vaccine was so nice that he don't need to know what he get the vaccine in. You understand me? So there is them who have to learn because they was misled. And they pay the price hard for it because some of them work in business place for numbers of years and come out of there getting nothing. Well, Mr. Nayas, that's my part on that. I just want to engage with him. I call in on your show already concerning the park with the rental of the space of the park. Now, the minister, which is Powell, engaged me on another radio station. Give the impression that I never understand and I don't know what they were talking about. The gentleman from CPL, the big man from CPL, came by me where he sent a letter, right, to a man in charge at the park up there to tell him to give us back certain amount of money. Now you call up there, you're getting all kind of run around. But I am telling the Minister of Sport, he better intervene into this. Because I don't get a chance to intervene into something else. And he ain't gonna like it. Because he went on the station and attacked me. And talking like, well, I don't know what I'm talking about when my money was put out for the place. And what that has done to us. You understand me? All the rest of them who want to, every time they call up there, nobody gonna answer for them. And me ain't gonna be no mouthpiece for nobody. I am a mouthpiece for me. You understand me? Because he needs to give us back what the people said to give us back. You can't hold on it. And you know we ain't make no money from it. Because 2 days before the cricket done, they say a few people in the park, they figure we make money. No, what about when all the money we lose? So I am telling the minister, get in touch with the man, because the man, I don't want to call the man name yet. The man got it and he know it, and I sure he explained it to his boss, which is Mr. Powell. So they need to get the money outside here, because I will bring a copy of the letter and show you up and down the place. Because the man come and give me a print of what he gave the same people at the park. You know, to give us back the money. And not all the money, but give us back something. And nobody make the park done, the people them gone all over the world, and nobody make no effort to say dog or cat, fool, dummy, and all them kind of thing, and call and say, well, look, this is what we're going to give you all back, and so on, for the things what you all lost, and was ripped out of. So, Mr. Niles, thank you for the time. Sorry to interrupt you plan what you have here with this vaccination thing and so on. But the vaccination is going good, and people is heeding, and the country is on the right direction with the vaccine, and everything going to be all right. I don't know about it's going to be a long time and a short time. All they have to do, go out and take the vaccine.
Got you.
Go out and take it.
All right. With that, we go to the next caller. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Hello, Mr. Nice.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Am I on?
You are on live.
Okay, I'm calling from New York. This is Sonny Boy, better known as Alfonso. The guy Nabo, what he said about the food situation back home in St. Kitts, he's right. The Labour government, when they was in power, they know for years that they wanted to close the sugar factory. All the land will belong to the government that they took over from private people used to own the sugar estate. Wigley, Boone, and Blake used to own all that land in the islands. They should have foreseen what they're going to take to replace the sugar. We cannot depend on tourism. I agree with Brother Nabo. We cannot depend on tourism, because all kind of factors could happen with tourism. Where would be the downfall of St. Kitts and put St. Kitts in a bad place? The government should know preparing things like producing things, processing things that they could sell, or other companies come in there and make them in St. Kitts, and St. Kitts be able to make money. Depending on tourism, it would not work. I used to live in the Virgin Islands. That's the U.S. American country. And the Virgin Island tourism took a big hit. Puerto Rico took a big hit. And the government of the United States had to subsidize all them islands because they're obligated to. And they own those islands, so the United States government got to step up and take care of them. But St. Kitts don't have no country to come in and take care of them and bail them out. And the government had to foresee these things 20 years down the road because it's inevitable. And St. Kitts should not have no food shortage. We got one of the best land in the whole world, because we produce the best sugar ever. Of the Cuba, the Virgin Islands, St. Kitts produce the best sugar and the biggest sugar grains of any country. And that's what our island need to start doing, start transitioning from tourism, because it's not sustainable. It's not a lasting thing. And if tourism go down, St. Kitts going to take a tremendous hit. Thank you, Mr. Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Again, we are trying to focus on COVID-19 in a way that we're discussing the lessons that we have learned or should have learned from the pandemic to date as we try and come out on the other side. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll try to pick up on the conversation on the actual conversation we want to have.
Breast cancer is perhaps the world's most commonly diagnosed cancer. However, access to information on breast health education and affordable medical care continues to be a challenge. That's why we at Courts have joined in on the fight against breast cancer with various organizations in the OECS to promote awareness and provide information on early detection. For the month of October, a part of the profits from your purchase made at all Courts brand stores, to include Courts Radio Shack, Courts Optical, and Courts Ready Cash, will go towards a donation to a local and designated cancer organization. Every bit counts, and we need your help. Together, we can fight to promote breast health, improve early cancer detection, and ensure access to quality care. Shop with our Courts brands today. We're counting on your support.
This is my land, my island, our home. The climate has changed, it's becoming strange. We have to come together to keep her forever resilient and strong. We need slow stabilization, forest rehabilitation. Come together as a nation for drought and flood mitigation. Development with policies and plans. Let's change our ways, protect our lands. Get involved, every child, woman and man. Island resilience has got the plan. This is my land, my island, our home. It's time to come together to keep her forever resilient and strong.
Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change. The Climate Change Adaptation and Sustainable Land Management Initiative of the OECS Commission, funded by the European Union.
My favorite time of the year is Christmas.
Advertise on ZIZ Radio, ZIZ Television, Big Wave, and our online platforms to reach more customers this holiday season. Let ZIZ tailor a holiday advertising solution to meet your need of reaching more customers during this period of increased shopping. Bring more customers to your business with a tailored holiday advertising solution from ZIZ. Call our advertising sales department at 465-2621 to lock in your advertising schedule. ZIZ, we provide advertising solutions that work. Call us at 465-2621 and get results.
Time like Christmas, New Year's and Easter on my.
All right, welcome back to Frank and Candid on this good-looking Thursday. We are discussing COVID and the lessons learned, or should have been learned, and getting your take on that as we try somehow to get past it and return to some semblance of normalcy, whatever that may mean, and trying to get your take. 465-2555, 718-577-2916. You may have something to share about the experience over the last 18 months or so, 19 months or so, and things that you have learned, things that you believe could be the way forward as we prepare for what could be a disaster somewhere that we don't know anything about. But we're living in a world where it is inevitable that there will be another one somewhere, somehow, sometime. So that's the discussion. Let's go back to the phones and say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
March.
Good morning, caller.
You Tony?
Yes.
Again.
Yes, sir.
Tony, not since last year, March. Some people in work, but let people do create things with it one to make their own local drink, literally bake it and literally thing and go on and sell it, and do help them pay the bills, because of the COVID. Some people in work, but some people taking this COVID situation and making it political, help them work, up and down the parade, attack my ignorance. So now I'm going to negative thing about the task force and about the doctors. You understand this here more? real ignorance. Tony, I can tell you that this COVID is a serious thing. As a lady told me last night that look Canada open up, Canada open up the zone of mask. They don't have no restriction for COVID now. But they're taking the vaccine. I watch football game yesterday. I watch a game with Manchester United and its team, the Champions League, and almost everybody in the stadium full, and they're vaccinated. You're not only going to see people that are masked, but what? They're going to the COVID rules. And some of them in the business, when the customers them come here, they put on the mask or nothing. Because they want the service to come to them themselves. And some of them just do it, some of them really strict towards it to check. Because I don't have a business place for the lady, she don't make work with it. So, now we got to get serious and we got to get real. If we want the country to make things get back now, man, we got to do what is right. We just can't play ignorant because of politics. If I want to make every dependence on a parade, get to work every dependence on a parade abuse people. Abuse people to the vaccine, we save the life. Okay then, Tony?
Alright, seems to me that's exactly what's going on here. That's what we're doing. Good morning, welcome to Frank and Candid. Good morning.
Mr. Nair.
Good morning.
This is Dump.
Yes, Dumpling.
All right. Mr. Nair, yesterday I was on the radio and I was speaking about public works. People that was up here picking up to put water, and I don't know if it's current or what. Right? Mm-hmm. But leave the street in a state. Mm-hmm. The load of dirt in the drain and stone, and I'm asking why Sean Richards, the minister, to please send them to come and clean the street and the drain. All the dirt. When the rain comes, it's going down in the road and you could see the stone, and so they should have walked with a shovel and a broom and clean up the road. Up here they never saw. They leave it dirty. And this is what I call in to say. And the next thing about the vaccine, right? A lot of them is walking and telling a lot of lies about vaccine killing them. How come when we were small, we used to take the vaccine in the same place and we never used to question it? How come when the doctor and the sick and the doctor give them medication, they're saying they can take it, it's going to poison them and kill them. They're going to shove the tablets them down the mouth, and if they're going to give them the injection for the sugar and all that there, they're making a noise with the injection where they're giving them. But they're just following the politicians them who again the unity government and talking about don't take vaccine and don't give your children the vaccine. Anyhow, I had any child going through that had to take the vaccine. They would have to take this and else. And if any more vaccine here, I would like to get some for me because to do some more weight still.
Alright, to the question of the construction or the workers, I mean, they really should clean up after themselves. That is something I agree with. I don't know, but anyway, that's for another day. Should I take more calls on that, or should I just leave it there? I don't know. We're not discussing what we're discussing this morning there, Taz.
We're talking about the lessons now, but
I don't know. What are we discussing here? Okay, let's go back to the phones. Let's try this one. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Mr. Nias.
Yes, sir.
I'm calling you back from New York.
Sure.
That's my sister just talked to you. Dumpling, that's my sister.
Yes, sir.
I differ from the program when we're saying about what Nabu was saying, but about COVID, like my sister was saying, when we were small, people come from all over the world, England especially in America, and give us shots in school, and everybody lined up and took it. Now, the people in St. Kitts should take a look at America. America is the richest country ever in the history of the world. You live in America, you know that. 600 and something thousand people died in the United States. In Brazil, over 600,000 people died. Right now, they're going to indict the president for murder. Bolsonaro, they're going to indict him for murder. They convened a grand jury to look into how he denied that COVID was so dangerous, and he didn't went and buy vaccine and keep criticizing the doctors and all that. He up for an indictment. Check it out if you think. Look, YouTube it and check it out. So what I'm saying, and what people are saying about the vaccine, the people are saying kids need to take it, because I'm 74 years old, and when I was a kid, I took at least about 10 shots in school. Down Eastern School, up senior school, up boys school, and I'm still alive. So it's a fool's choice not to take it. Because you know what? I have friends, ladies and nurses, and they tell me when the people come to the hospital, the emergency room, and just before they put them on the ventilator, they said, if I knew, I would have taken the shot. And most people in America that die from COVID is the ones that didn't take the shot. So please, citizens and divisions, take the shot. It's safe. I took it, and I'm still here. Thank you, Mr. Myers, for letting me talk in your show. I really appreciate it.
All right. As of 11:30 this morning, October 21st, 241.5 million people confirmed cases of COVID.
Hello.
4.9 million deaths. Good morning, welcome.
Yes, Tony?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I know we only got 35 minutes time to call, eh? So you got to keep your eye on the second hand on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tony, there was a game we used to play in school. Who don't know the rule? Then they hold your two ankle and they pull them and you fall down there. Well, what COVID is saying to the whole world, if I don't listen, or whether you listen, and you all know the protocol to follow, and you are not doing it, the cemetery don't refuse people, okay? You never see a coffin outside the cemetery gates in a room in there. They find room to put you. Mr. COVID is a serious thing, very serious, and God inspire man to make vaccine to fight this thing here that you to preserve your life to go a little longer. But I'm going to tell you something now, a lot of people ain't going to believe me because a lot of people don't believe in God. God is watching over the world, and it's only He alone could wipe out this COVID from killing people. Only He. But I believe He prolonging it for a while to teach us a lesson. We know what happened down Sodom and Gomorrah. He destroyed the city because man going with man and woman going with woman. And He didn't make us for that. He made man for woman. And He put Adam and Eve, a man and a woman, in the garden. But this country here, called what the country they name? The country that give the most on your money, when you bank your money, the most interest, Switzerland. They're now contemplating whether they should have a consensus for man to marry to man and woman to marry to woman. That's an insulting God face. They're disrespecting God with that. And because of them kind of foolishness there, this COVID, it's going to go on for a long time, and God ready to when God say, look, enough is enough, boom, stop, done with that. So all who believe they want to be ignorant and don't take it, let it go ahead. When we sick and we go to the doctor for the eye, and they prescribe the eye drop, nobody asks me why in it, because everybody wants to see. But everybody don't want to live, so they're going to take the vaccine. God going to know what to do with this world. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, thank you. Get a caller there, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nath.
Good morning, sir.
In addition to the 7 lessons that you mentioned, I would like to add 3 more.
Okay.
First, diversification is an imperative, it's a must. We can't have an overdependence on any one pillar of the economy. You know, we talk about it all the time, we preach it, but we're not pursuing it with any vigor. many, including the government, is still pinning our economic hopes on things getting back to normal as quickly as possible. That's fine, but not good enough. And we all talk about agriculture. Well, if things indeed get back to normal, I think agriculture is going to go back into the doldrums, okay? And so what we should be doing really is making sure that we retain the capacity to move nimbly into food production and preservation and storage if it becomes necessary again in the future. Agriculture just can't compete with the current, with the other current economic areas like tourism, offshore industry, the industrial, light industry, and that sort of thing. Secondly, wealth redistribution, especially in time of crisis. Okay, while there were many, especially government workers, who were unaffected by the crisis because their income was not touched, many others, especially in the tourism sector, had to take a pay cut or reduced hours or no income at all. And that had to be traumatic. And $1,000 cannot compensate for that. So we need to set up permanent unemployment systems that take care of exogenous shocks like that. Okay? The time to think about it is not so much when you're in a crisis, but before, to take account of what may happen. And finally, we need to reestablish priorities. Healthcare should become a priority. I mean, the pandemic, I think, exposed some inadequacies that we have been talking about for a long time, but it definitely highlighted them. And you mentioned our relatively good position with COVID numbers. That, I think, was due to our small size and luck. That could easily have been reversed, and we could easily have become overwhelmed. So we need to prioritize health, both in terms of delivery of services and the facilities going forward. Okay, we absolutely need to do those things, I think. Okay then.
Okay. Thank you for those three. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Hello.
You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Why you not take half of his salary and you told me $6,000 enough? You told me to do it. Anyway, 3 callers back. That's all right, because me just see them as so. They want to pick government, the Prime Minister, all let to think about it. Because I hear that since time long. Yes, I couldn't get it because there's any technical section up that I said. Look out, look after the lines them. That subscribe to the voicemail. Calling, and then when you're in a queue, if one doesn't go out. That's not good enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Nias. Briefly,
yes.
Mr. Nias, what I learned from this pandemic is, in all my over 40 years studying Bible prophecy, and I have never come to the realization, really, that a pandemic could have so much of the world divided. Question of mandatory vaccination and all of that. And it brings me to question, because I had always looked at in Revelation chapter 13, verse 15 right down, where the beast, which is the Antichrist, would cause all men, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to take his mark or write his name on their forehead. And it picture today the realization really that this, to me, is something similar. Although really nobody is killing nobody, but if you look at it, the high percentage of those who die because they are not vaccinated. You look at that and it left me mystified. And so when one refused the mark of the beast, he's sentenced to death. He's being killed. And so that, to me, is what I learned from this epidemic. I have never seen so much Bible prophecy fulfilled almost simultaneously. Simultaneously, all. And this is what Jesus said, when you see all, not one in isolation, all taking place, then look up for our redemption right now. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. We got another caller. Good morning.
Yes, I have to come back here.
Yes, sir.
Tony, there are so many ways that agriculture is involved in. You do agriculture in the sea and on land. The Bible said till the earth. And a caller, just before two callers ago, he said agriculture is going right back in the doldrum. With 100 and something people who planting food forestally, we cannot go back in the doldrum. That means he don't know nothing about planting food. He don't know nothing. When he comes speculating about agriculture going back into the doldrum, you create the government giving out land, more land for people to plant food and cultivate this and cultivate that. It's just a matter of time before they get back in the nut some point and plan all these things here. And things don't go overnight and you sell one right away. But anyway, more time for that because time short. I'll catch up on that tomorrow when it's free for all.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. All right, we got a... Okay. All right, well, looks like that's going to do it for us today. Thank you all for your calls, your comments, suggestions, some way off the topic, but okay, well, it happens. All right, we'll be back tomorrow and to discuss other things right here on Frank and Candid. Go out and enjoy the rest of this good-looking Tuesday, and we'll talk again tomorrow if it is to be. My name is Tony Nias.